It started with whispers, strange sightings across America, lurking in the shadows, clowns. But not the happy birthday party kind. These clowns were different. They were creepy, menacing. They were spotted in woods near schools, even lurking outside homes. Social media exploded. Videos of these encounters went viral. People were sharing their own stories, real or imagined. Fear, like a contagious laughter, began to spread. What started as isolated incidents quickly morphed into a nationwide phenomenon. The creepy clown scare of 2016 had begun. News outlets, hungry for a story, pounced. The more they reported, the more sightings were reported. Was it mass hysteria, copycat behavior, or something more sinister? Whatever it was, one thing was clear. America was officially terrified of clowns. The question wasn't just why clowns, it was why then, and why did it spread so fast? The answer, like the best horror stories, lies in the shadows. It lurks in the corners of our digital lives. It's the story of how easily fear can be manufactured and how quickly it can spin out of control. The media, like a kid with a magnifying glass, focused its attention on the creepy clown phenomenon. What started as a few isolated incidents quickly snowballed into a full-blown media frenzy. Headlines screamed about the latest sightings, each more sensational than the last. The stories were crafted to grab attention, to make people click, read, and share. Experts were brought in to analyze grainy photos and dissect blurry videos. These so-called experts often had little to no real evidence, but their confident assertions added a veneer of credibility to the hysteria. Every talking head had a theory, and every theory seemed more outlandish than the last. The debates were less about finding the truth, and more about keeping the audience hooked. The 24-hour news cycle, fueled by social media, churned relentlessly. There was no escape from the constant barrage of updates, each one more alarming than the previous. Fear became a commodity, traded and amplified for clicks and views. The more fear they could generate, the more engagement they could drive. The more the media reported, the more real the threat seemed. People began to see clowns everywhere, even in places where they had never been spotted before. It didn't matter if the sightings were real, exaggerated, or completely fabricated. The narrative had taken on a life of its own, independent of the facts. The narrative had been set. Clowns were dangerous. Clowns were everywhere. Be afraid. Be very afraid. This message was repeated so often that it became ingrained in the public consciousness. The internet, with its echo chambers and filter bubbles, only intensified the hysteria. People were trapped in a cycle of fear, constantly exposed to stories that confirmed their worst suspicions. People were bombarded with stories that confirmed their existing fears. The more they read, the more anxious they became, and the more they sought out similar stories. Rational thought was drowned out by a chorus of alarm. The media's relentless focus on the clown scare left little room for calm, measured analysis. The line between reality and online hype blurred, creating a perfect storm of fear and paranoia. People struggled to distinguish between genuine threats and media-manufactured hysteria. The creepy clown scare wasn't just about clowns. It was a reflection of a deeper issue, the media's ability to manipulate public perception and amplify fear. It was a stark reminder of the media's power to shape our perceptions, amplify our fears, and influence our behavior. The media's portrayal of the clown scare had real-world consequences, affecting how people felt and acted. It was a wake-up call to the dangers of a media landscape driven by sensationalism and profit, where fear itself could be packaged and sold like any other product. The clown scare was a case study in how easily fear can be manufactured and spread, and a reminder of the responsibility that comes with the power to inform. As the creepy clown frenzy reached fever pitch, even the government couldn't resist stepping into the circus ring. Law enforcement agencies across the country found themselves fielding a surge in clown-related calls, from reported sightings to threats of violence. Some schools went into lockdown, canceling outdoor activities and Halloween events. Police departments issued statements, urging calm, but also acknowledging the public's fear. Public officials, ever mindful of public perception, felt pressured to be seen as taking the threat seriously, even if the threat itself remained largely undefined. This response, however well-intentioned, may have inadvertently legitimized the scare. By acknowledging the phenomenon and allocating resources to address it, authorities inadvertently gave credence to the idea that there was a real and present danger. This, in turn, likely fueled the media firestorm and further amplified public anxiety. The government's involvement in the creepy clown scare, while perhaps unavoidable, highlights the complex interplay between public perception, media narratives, and official responses. It also underscores the difficulty of navigating a world where fear, once unleashed, can take on a life of its own, demanding a response even in the absence of a clearly defined threat. Section 4. Profiting from panic: how corporations cashed in. Where there's fear, there's opportunity. This age-old adage has never been more relevant than during the creepy clown panic that swept the nation. And in the midst of the creepy clown panic, some corporations saw not terror, but dollar signs. They recognized a unique chance to turn widespread fear into a lucrative business venture. Halloween costume companies, sensing a trend, ramped up production of menacing clown masks and accessories. Factories worked overtime, churning out products to meet the sudden spike in demand. Security companies reported an uptick in inquiries from businesses and homeowners concerned about clown-related threats. They offered peace of mind at a price, installing more security systems and selling more surveillance equipment than ever before. Even the media itself benefited, as news outlets and websites saw a surge in traffic and engagement driven by the constant stream of clown-related content. Headlines screamed of sightings and attacks, drawing in readers and viewers who couldn't get enough of the sensational stories. This opportunistic response highlights a disturbing aspect of manufactured hysteria. It can be profitable. Companies across various sectors found ways to monetize the fear, turning panic into profit. When fear becomes a commodity, there will always be those eager to exploit it for their own gain. The stock market even saw fluctuations as investors bet on companies poised to benefit from the scare. This creates a perverse incentive to perpetuate and even amplify panic as long as it continues to generate revenue. The more fear they could stoke, the more clicks, views, and sales they could achieve. The creepy clown scare wasn't just a social phenomenon or a media spectacle. It became a full-blown economic event, with various industries cashing in on the chaos. It was also a business opportunity, a chance for some to capitalize on the very real fear and anxiety gripping the nation. Companies held meetings to strategize on how best to exploit the situation. This raises uncomfortable questions about the ethics of profiting from panic and the role of corporate greed in perpetuating cycles of fear and hysteria. As we reflect on this phenomenon, we must consider the moral implications of turning fear into a business model. Section 5. Echoes of Hysteria: from clowns to COVID-19 and beyond. The creepy clown scare of 2016 may seem like a bizarre blip in recent history, but it was, in many ways, a harbinger of things to come. The sight of clowns lurking in the shadows, appearing in unexpected places, and causing widespread panic was more than just a strange phenomenon. It was a reflection of our collective fears and the power of viral stories to shape our reality. In the years since, we've seen similar patterns of fear and misinformation play out on a global scale, often with far more serious consequences. The COVID-19 pandemic, for instance, brought these issues into sharp focus. The COVID-19 pandemic, for example, unleashed a torrent of anxiety and uncertainty. Cities went into lockdown, and everyday life was turned upside down. The sense of normalcy was shattered, and people were left grappling with an invisible enemy that seemed to lurk around every corner. People turned to their screens for answers, but instead found a cacophony of conflicting information. The digital age, with its promise of instant access to knowledge, instead delivered confusion and fear. Political polarization, fueled by social media algorithms and partisan news outlets, has also contributed to a climate of fear and distrust. The algorithms that drive our online experiences are designed to keep us engaged, often by showing us content that provokes strong emotional reactions. This has led to echo chambers where people are exposed only to information that reinforces their existing beliefs, making it harder to find common ground. From election interference to social justice protests, every issue seems to be filtered through a lens of outrage and hyperbole, making it difficult to discern fact from fiction, and even harder to have a reasoned conversation. The lines between reality and perception have become increasingly blurred, and the consequences of this are profound. Trust in institutions has eroded, and the ability to engage in meaningful dialogue has diminished. The creepy clown scare was a dress rehearsal, a reminder that in the age of instant information and unfiltered opinion, fear spreads faster than any virus. It showed us how easily we can be manipulated, how quickly panic can take root, and how difficult it can be to separate reality from the manufactured narratives that dominate our digital lives. The clowns were a symbol of our vulnerability to fear and the power of the stories we tell ourselves. It showed us how easily we can be manipulated, how quickly panic can take root, and how difficult it can be to separate reality from the manufactured narratives that dominate our digital lives. As we move forward, it's crucial to remember these lessons. We must strive to be more discerning consumers of information, to question the sources of our fears, and to seek out the truth amidst the noise. Only then can we hope to navigate the complexities of our modern world with clarity and confidence.